Hey everyone, this is the Coast to Coast Radio Show. Our nickname is Tell the Truth Radio. We're going to tell the truth about the NBA playoffs. And if you're a Lakers fan, you're kind of hoping that you didn't want to see Portland. I'm a Lakers fan, and Portland, the way it was set up, they were coming. And they got in, and your worst nightmares here. But there's a part of me that's really happy for Damian Lillard. He was fantastic. 61 points, 8 assists versus the Dallas Mavericks. 42 points and 12 assists. 48 points and 12 assists versus the Nets. Wow. And then he had 39 points and 12 assists versus Memphis. He was great, man. McCullough was great in the Memphis game because he closed. And see, they take turns closing. Dame could close, and McCullough could close. And they're both great closers. Carmelo hit a big cold-blooded three at the end. You can't put Grayson Allen. If you're Memphis, you can't put Grayson Allen on Damian Lillard. That was stupid. That was real stupid. So the Lakers can't be that stupid. So you got one of the better 1-8 matchups you'll ever see, and the Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers. I watched those games. The one game that Portland won, Damian Lillard, it was the night that they honored Kobe Bryant, and Damian Lillard went clean off. He blew the game up. He just went clean off. The other two games, I looked at the matchups within the matchups, and LA beat them up from a standpoint of using their height. The Lakers use their height real well. And what happened is Dame and McCullough did what they normally do. They just score at will. They scored on Rondo and KCP and Green. They didn't have Nurkic, and I watched that, so that was big. They took advantage of the other bigs. LeBron overwhelmed Bazemore. Bazemore's not playing for Portland right now, so they overwhelmed Portland from a size standpoint, and they hit some shots. KCP hit some threes. LeBron hit some shots. AD hit some threes. So they hit shots to go along because Portland's going to score. And you got to understand, Portland can flat out score. So you have to deal with Portland scoring. What LA did, they just outscored them, and what I noticed, they added a wrinkle. They threw a lot of lobs over the top. So you saw AD, you saw all the bigs of LA, Dwight Howard, McGee. They were getting a lot of lobs. Caruso would drive, throw the lob up in the air, and they would catch it and slam it. AD and LeBron ran that game a lot, where LeBron would drive, lob the ball up in the air, AD would catch it and throw it down. And they did that a lot. And then they opened up wide open threes, and they were able to, and they defended pretty good against Portland. You can only do so much. As far as defending Portland, you can only do so much because you could defend Portland. I thought John Morant's defense on CJ McCullough at the end of the game was fantastic. The game they just played where they got into the 8th seed. And McCullough still hit the shot over him. McCullough put it between his legs, did a little dance, bam, shot. Hit another shot over Ja. Ja played great defense. Sometimes you can play great defense against McCullough and Lillard. They're still going to beat you. Got to deal with it. So I think the key for Portland is rebounding, because against the Nets, they got pounded on the boards. They could have got eliminated from the playoffs because they were sloppy on the boards in the fourth quarter. And also, they have to play better defense against the lob. The Lakers threw about 20 alley-oops in the 2 games they won. So they're going to have to tighten up on that. And they're going to have to play a little better defense. They played pretty good defense against Memphis. So they're capable of playing some defense. The biggest problem for them is size of LeBron. LeBron's going to use size. Carmelo's going to take the challenge of guarding LeBron. So you're going to have LeBron and AD doing what they do. McCullough and Dame doing what they do. The key is Kyle Kuzma and Carmelo Anthony. Who's that third guy that hits those big shots. Because AD is going to make his moves inside, and everybody's got him for not being aggressive. I think he's going to be very aggressive this series. And this is the playoffs. He's got a lot to prove. LeBron's going to be LeBron. He's going to go downhill. He hits that elbow three on both sides. That's kind of his game. He'll hit the occasional turnaround jump shot, but what he likes to do is catch the ball on the elbow. And you can see he holds the ball in his hands. He likes to look to see who's open. Then they'll run screen action for Caruso, or they'll set something up for Davis to score inside, or Kuzma. And that's kind of how their offense is. So at the end of the games, because a lot of this is going to be fourth quarter execution. It's going to come down to AD and LeBron making plays, and McCullough and Lillard making plays. Can't foul Lillard. Lillard's very good at drawing three-point shot fouls. Can't do that. You got to be smart. Any stupid moves can cost you the series. So their playmaking at the end of the game is going to be huge. But Kuzma and Carmelo Anthony's wide-open shot making is going to be very, very important. I think that's going to be big. I got LA at 6. They're bigger. They're going to have to use their size. Nurkic just play better. If it goes 7, I'm a Laker fan. There's 2 minutes left. And Lillard has the ball. He's going to ball back to McCullough, and he gives it back to Lillard. And your season is on the line, and it's in the hand of Damian Lillard. That's something I don't want to see. I don't want to see, because I will be like this. Oh my gosh, tell me when this fourth quarter is over. But of course, we got LeBron and AD and Kuzma. That should be enough to get them to 6, but I wouldn't put it past the Portland Trail Blazers. They're on a mission. Dame Lillard, I'm so happy for him because he got so much criticism. Some of the pundits throw the Golden State series where him and McCullough didn't play well in that series, and they throw it in his face, and he's fueled by that. That's why you saw the 61 points against Dallas, and he looked and said, put some respect on my name. But the key for him is he's got to keep grinding. A lot of these guys go. Finally, you get in. Damian Lillard eventually will win a championship because he plays too hard for that. Eventually, Dr. J won one. LeBron finally won one. Mike broke through. A lot of guys that just grind. Eventually, they're going to get it. He's a champion. I just think whether it's was he on Portland or he goes to another team, he's going to win because he just plays that hard with that passion. He knows how to make big shots. There's times he hasn't made big shots, but he's still got many at-bats for his career. So he's got more chances to shut up the critics. He's got more chances to show how great he is. He's already a Hall of Famer. But that type of guy, when you're an opponent, you're a fan of the other team, he puts the fear of God in you. I'm just letting you know. And on the other side, it's going to be Houston versus – they would play the winner of Houston versus OKC. Westbrook is out for the first couple of games. They're going to have to figure out, the most underrated basketball player in the entire NBA is Eric Gordon for Houston. He does so much for his team. He comes off the bench a lot. He's a great scorer. He's tough-minded. You got Tucker. They don't have Capella. I see a guy like Steven Adams can get offensive rebound after offensive rebound. You're giving Chris Paul and Shea Alexander the 2 stars of new possessions. That could be a problem. If you're grabbing the offensive rebound in a key situation and you're kicking it out to Chris Paul's going to take the shot. He's going to set up his guys, whether it's Grant or Alexander, for success. Now, I think Houston wins the 7, provided Russell comes back. Austin Rivers has got to play good now. Chris Paul and Austin Rivers, that I don't know if there's any love lost there because Chris Paul didn't like leaving the Clippers. He didn't like leaving the Rockets. It's personal. There's going to be some chippiness. I'm looking forward to this. The 4 or 5 matchups in the NBA is personal because it's personal vendettas going on. And I'll get to Indiana and the Heat in a minute. I like the Rockets in 7. Chris Paul's going to give the Rockets hell. He's going to give them trouble. He's got a point to prove. Adams is going to be a problem, getting a lot of offensive rebounds because they got rid of Capella. That's a problem. They don't have any bigs. Covington is a tough-minded guy. Green's played well. He's hit some big shots because you're going to get open when you're playing with James Harden. You know Harden's going to do what he's got to do. Paul and Harden didn't like each other. There's going to be a lot of confrontations in this series. So I'm looking forward to that. The Clippers, I don't need to write any notes or stats about the Clippers and Dallas. Clippers going to push Dallas around. I love Luka and his cohorts and all those guys, but they're going to push them around. It's just going to push them around because there's too much Kawhi, between Kawhi, Paul George, Montrezl Harrell, Pat Beverly, and all those junkyard dogs on defense is too much. Dallas got a good team, but they're not ready. I think physically they're not ready for this. It's going to be a sweep. This will be an easy series for the LA Clippers. And they'll end up playing the winner of Denver and Utah. It's a good series. Mike Conley, he had the birth of his child, so he's going to miss, I think, the first 2 games. I don't know if Barton and Harris are going to play. But the thing about Utah I like is I think the key for Utah is that Mitchell has to play smart. Mitchell has got to play the big 3 of Gobert, Mitchell, and Joe Ingles. It's got to be big. The big 3's got to be big because Denver it's the sum of their parts. Normally you don't really want to play 12 guys in the playoffs deep. It's usually an 8-man rotation, but that's the kind of style Malone has for his team, and they run at you in waves, and they're very smart. This is what they're the best backdoor cut team I've seen in the NBA. They're real smart, other than Toronto. Toronto's up there too, as far as their backdoor cuts. Michael Porter is a star when it comes to offense. It's going to be kind of cool because you got Djokovic, the Joker, versus Gobert, and they're 2 great centers. I'm going to find out who's a better center. Djokovic is that slow, smart, kind of smooth guy with a great pass. He's got a nice game inside. He's a good passer, can shoot. And you know at the end of the games with Denver, everybody gets the ball. Everybody touches the ball. But near the end of the game, when it comes to Denver, it's Jamal Murray and Jokic off that pick and roll. Either or. There's no variations. And then what happens, they'll kick it out to one of their shooters, whether it's Porter or one of their 3-point snipers. But they're built off of Murray and Jokic in the 4th quarter. It comes down to that. And when it comes down to Utah, Donovan Mitchell is just – Donovan Mitchell – guys like Donovan Mitchell and Damian Lillard, they're not guardable. So you got to hope to contain him because he comes down here. He's a great pick-and-roll player because he's so strong. He can shoot. He uses Gobert really well. Ingles is a slick kind of player, left-hander, can shoot, got the little hook drive in the lane. They need his production. They need the bench to play well. Denver's too deep. I like Denver in 7. It's going to be very competitive. Denver was 3-0 in the regular season, but it's going to be very, very competitive. In the East, I like Milwaukee over Orlando. Without Isaac, they're one of their best players. Orlando, they don't have a chance. I like Milwaukee. I love DiVincenzo. He's had a good year. DiVincenzo is sneaky good. You know, you talk about Middleton and Giannis, but he's produced well. You know, George Hill is sneaky good in the playoffs too. He don't look like much, but he can get to the basket. He shoots threes. He's really smart. He's fundamentally sound. I like the Bucks. I don't trust the Bucks to get to the finals, and I'll tell you why. The next 4 or 5 is the Heat versus Indiana. This is another personal series because T.J. Warren was lighting everyone up. Lit the Lakers up, lit the Sixers up. So Jimmy Butler said he ain't that good. He pretty much said he's not that good. Okay, I'm going to shut him down. He's all hype. So T.J. Warren didn't like that, so they're going back and forth. And the last game, Butler did do good against him, but that's personal. I understand you got Oladipo and Bam and on the Heat. You got Oladipo and Indiana, so you got other matchups, but I'm going to be focused on Jimmy Butler and T.J. Warren because they don't like each other. There's going to be some smack talk. They're not going to get technicals, but you know they're going to be whispering, you can't guard me. You can't guard me. You're all hype. You know, like, okay, I'm all – T.J. Warren's like, oh, okay, I'm all hype. You got to see me in this 7-game series now. So that's going to be fun to watch. I like the Heat. They're a little deeper. The Heat and the Bucks are going to play. Boston and Philadelphia would be great. Ben Simmons is out. I don't like that. I like their backcourt, Richardson and Shake Milton. You know, I like those guys. The only way they would win this series is Embiid gives me 45 and 20. If he just turns, and he's capable, if he just turns into Will Chamberlain. Boston's defense is not structured like that. They're going to double and dare the other guys to beat you. So they play good. They play good against Embiid. Al Horford's got going to have a chip on his shoulder being a former Celtic. Now he's on the Sixers. I like Boston. Tatum, Brown, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, who comes off the bench. He's that tough, hard guy. You love those kind of bench players in the playoffs. Could be a starter. You usually place in the fourth quarter. Boston will find a way. Boston has the Sixers number. And Boston believes they're just going to beat the Sixers. They don't say it, but the way they carry themselves, they know they're going to beat the Sixers. If Simmons was playing, I might have thought about picking the Sixers. Without him, I like Boston. And in the Boston will end up playing Toronto. The Nets, I love the Nets going forward. I think Toronto's going to win this in 6 or 7. That's going to give Toronto a lot of trouble. Toronto's one. I will say this: Toronto's the smartest NBA team, the smartest team in the NBA, offense and defense. They're the best team as far as team. With Siakam, and Gasol, and Lowry and company, and Powell, who hits big shots. They're collective. They're like a glove. They fit like a perfect glove. I love how Toronto's playing. Nick Nurse is a great coach. He already has a championship. And he's showing how good a coach he is. He's a great coach. They're well coached, but they're going to have their hands full because the Nets are a bunch of junkyard dogs. They fight, they scratch, they claw. Gerald LeVert balls out. They're shorthanded. They don't have Dinwiddie, they don't have Kyrie and Durant. It doesn't matter. They're going to battle you. Joe Harris, they come after you hard. And they're going to make Toronto sweat. But Toronto will find a way. Toronto's my team to come out of the finals. They'll win. The potential Boston-Toronto series is a great series. You got Nick Nurse, Brad Stevens. That's a good coaching matchup. I like Toronto, but it wouldn't surprise me if Boston made a run and beat Toronto. I'm going to pick Toronto, but it wouldn't be surprised if Boston, if they get past the Sixers, if Embiid turns into Will Chamberlain, all bets are off. But I'm assuming Boston will win that series and go on and play the Toronto Raptors. Now, I like Milwaukee versus Miami. I would think Milwaukee will win, and you have Milwaukee, Toronto, like Toronto. In the West, I like the Clippers to beat. Clippers have some trouble if Denver gets in. It's going to be Denver will get some games. The Clippers will find a way to get out of here. If the Lakers can survive this hurricane, Damian Lillard and McCullough, they might be able to get past the Rockets because they're bigger. Rockets don't have size. And then they'll see the Clippers. I'm thinking Lakers, Clippers, Toronto, Milwaukee. Chalk will hold up. But do not sleep on Damian Lillard. Please don't do that. Or Nurkic. And it's funny because you're going to get Carmelo Anthony and LeBron playing each other because the last time LeBron overpowered Bazemore and a lot of little guys. I think Carmelo Anthony's going to tell his coach staff, I'm on him. I know him. I covered Oak Hill versus St. Vincent St. Mary's when LeBron was in the 11th grade and Carmelo's a senior. Carmelo's team beat LeBron. It was a great game in Trenton, the primetime shootout. That was awesome. And they've known each other. They battle each other. So he won't be intimidated. Carmelo won't. So, and LeBron knows that. So that's a great matchup. I mean, I wanted to see Memphis. It's easier for Lakers, but for as fans concerned, a lot of fans are going to be rooting for Portland because I think the NBA ratings have not been down. I'm going to do a show just on ratings and different social justice issues. I'm going to put together a separate show of what I see that I like and I don't like. Because I'm my own man. I say what I say. I just want to warn everybody. I have opinions, and if it's not lockstep with yours, it's not. But I believe in the truth. So we'll get to that show. That'll be another show I'm going to produce. But for now, I think the ratings were down. Some of the people were a little not crazy about maybe they went over the board with the social justice thing, but the ratings, I think, will come back to a point because you got Dame Lillard and McCollum versus LeBron and AD and Carmelo and all those storylines. And can Dame Lillard get over the hump and remove this reputation fairly or unfairly he's got? I hold him in high regard. He's going to be an all-time great guard. He can do everything. He's got mid-range. He drives it. He will dunk on you. If you get lazy and he goes past his defender and you kind of meander into the lane, he will dunk on you. He is not a finesse player. And he's a willing passer. He's just great. So it's opportunity for him. It's opportunity for LeBron. I'm going to tell you why it's opportunity for LeBron to try to get a championship after the last dance, because some people had LeBron at number one. No one had no LeBron at number one no more after the last day. A lot of younger people saw Jordan. I have Jordan at one. He's the greatest I ever saw. I never saw nothing like Michael Jordan. But some of the LeBron people that are on TV, I'm not going to name a name, but it's a particular name, felt a little sensitive, got a little sensitive about that. You could hold LeBron in a high regard. You can have Michael Jordan the greatest and still hold LeBron in high regard at the same time. You don't have to hold him. You don't have to have Michael Jordan the greatest and then trash LeBron. You could hold all these great players in high regard. If I have Jordan the greatest, I have Jordan the greatest because I cover the NBA. I follow the NBA since 1940s. I study. I'm a student of the game. So I look at competitive greatness first. Number one, talent, mental toughness, mental makeup, winning, what you do in it counts. And I look at that. And I look at even when you lose, how you perform. And even in defeat, Michael Jordan was all-time great. Even in the sweeps, he was all-time great. Yeah, I said that because there was a particular person that said, oh, he got swept. He did this. And they bring up Boston, and they bring up Boston and Detroit. They bring up Boston. When you win 6 out of 8, that's a blip on the screen. When you win 6 titles in 8 years, and you three-peat twice, okay, you went through what you went through earlier, but everybody loses in big series. LeBron lost in the big series. He has some issues. Magic Johnson has some issues in 84. Bird missed free throws in 90 that cost him in the first round against the Knicks. We don't hold that against them because they had all-time great moments. So you got to, when I talk about Tell the Truth Radio, you got to tell the whole truth. Stop nitpicking and trying to create an agenda, which is not sports journalism. You're being an idiot on TV, pretty much. I got to call that particular person out. You're being an idiot when you do that. You're crafting an argument. Even if you, like, when I put up Jordan at 1, I'm not going to diss LeBron. I'm going to say, listen, LeBron is not there. He could. Listen, he's got more years. He could win this year. He could win next year. Maybe I changed my mind. But I can still hold him in high regard. I can still hold Magic in high regard. I got Kareem at 2 because I lived there. Kareem was my guy. And I could stats and championships and envy everything. So I can hold guys in high regard, even if I don't have them in number 1. So it's called balance. It's called being fair and balanced. Try it sometime. But I have to put the mute button on when that guy starts talking. When he comes on the radio, as soon as he gets sensitive and gets in his she motion, I turn the mute button down. But then when there's other issues, he's pretty good. But when it comes to Jordan, that bothers him. Them 6 rings bother him. I gotta turn the mute button off. When you're ready to talk like you got some sense on TV, I turn the mute button on, and when you want to talk, you talk. That's why I created a show called Tell the Truth Radio.